Our next lesson in Chapter 6 is solving systems using substitution. We have talked about solving systems using graphing. So let's say if I have these two systems and I want to graph them. First equation, the y-intercept is at a -4, so I'm going to plot that point. And my slope is a +3, so up 3 over 1. Up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. I'm going to draw that line. And then my second equation is -2, so that would be +0. So that has a y-intercept at 0. So down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. And here, over 1. So this would be my line right here. These three lines, or these 3 points. Now, if I were to zoom in here, where they cross is not at a perfect box. When I say perfect box, it should be on the grid line where the two lines overlap. That would be a perfect box. So this would be a spot or a problem where I would not want to use solve by graphing, because I want to get the definite answer. So it's probably going to be some sort of a decimal point. That's why we might use solving the system by substitution. Right now, I want you to write down these 5 steps. Write this down. When you come to class, and if you do not have these 5 things down, then I cannot help you, because this is the thinking process that you have to be going through when solving by substitution. So again, pause and write all these 5 problems down. So I'm going to solve this by substitution. First thing I want to do is rewrite one of my 2 equations. So it says x equals or y equals. When I look at my system here, this is my system. This first equation already has y equals, so I'm already done with my step 1. So now what I'm going to do is use this equation that already has y equals, and I'm going to substitute that into my second equation. So since this says y, I find every spot that has a y in my second equation. And instead of writing y, I write what y is equal to. So my second equation is what I'm going to be writing out right now. So it says x plus. Now I'm not going to write y, I'm going to write 3x, because that is what y is equal to. And then I'm going to put equals -32. This is my step 2. And now once you do that, you should only have one variable left. So right now I only have one variable left, so now I'm going to solve for my remaining variable. So this is my step 3. So this becomes 4x, because 1x plus 3x equals 4, equals -32. And if I want to solve for x, I'm going to divide by 4 on each side and get x is equal to -8. So that was my step 3. Now if I look here, for my step 4, I have to use that variable to solve my other variable. Now, I already have an equation that has y equals, so I'm going to use that first equation again. Y equals 3x. So this is my step 4. Since I solved for x and I got x is equal to -8, I'm going to use that information to help me solve for y. So I'm going to plug -8 in for x. So now I have y is equal to a -24. So that was my step 4, and then my very last step, step 5, it says write as an ordered pair. So my ordered pair here, my 8, my -8 is my x, and -4, or -24 is my y. So this would be my final answer. This is the answer to, if I were to graph those 2 equations out, this is where they would cross each other. So my next problem, it says, what's the solution of the system? So where do the 2 lines cross? Use substitution. If I tell you to solve this in one particular way, that's the way I expect to see all of your work. So in this equation, this system I should say, I don't already have y equals or x equals all by itself. However, when I look at my 2 equations, I notice that this y variable right here is already by itself, meaning there's no number multiplied. So I'm going to first solve for this second y. So your first step when you wrote down those problems is rewrite one equation so it either says y equals or x equals. So I'm going to have y equals 2x minus 3. How did I get that? I had to make sure to move over the 2x, so I had to add 2x to both sides. My second step is to substitute this in to my second equation. So if I look at my second equation, I put y equals, so I'm going to put that in place of my y. So I'm going to rewrite out this equation, but again, substituting what I know y is equal to. So it'd be 3 times 2x minus 3, because that's what y is equal to, and then plus 4x is equal to 14. And your third step is to solve for the variable. So right now I should pause and solve for x and make sure it matches up with my answer. You should have gotten that x is equal to 2.3. In this case, I would rewrite these numbers as a decimal. So now that was my third step. This whole process of solving for x was my third step. My fourth step, it says use that information to help solve for the second variable. So I'm going to, again, use this first equation that I rewrote for y. I have y is equal to 2x. Instead of writing x, I found out that x is equal to 2.3. So I'm going to write 2.3 in for x minus 3. So I have y is equal to, this will be 4.6 minus 3. Y is equal to 1.6. And then my final step on that 5 steps that you should be working with is rewrite this as an ordered pair. So 2.3 and 1.6. So x should always go first, y should always go second. So if I were to plug both of these numbers in for both equations, this is the one point where they overlap. That's true for both equations. And finally, just like how we have used solving by graphing to figure out if a system has one solution, no solution, or infinite solution, we can do the same thing here with solving for substitution. The key is your first steps are always the same. I already have this first equation. It says x equals. So now I'm going to replace this in for my x here. So I'll have 3.5. Instead of writing x, I'm going to write negative 2y plus 4 plus 7y is equal to 14. So all I did so far is distribute. And now when I look at this problem, I have like terms here, negative 7 and 7. Well, negative 7 plus 7 would give me 0. So what I'm left with is 14 is equal to 14. Now there's no variable there. There's no y left over. So then what you want to do is look at the answer that you simplified down to. And if it's true, so 14 does equal 14, then my answer would be infinite solutions. So this would be my final answer, infinite solutions. Now if I look at my second problem, I'm going to do the same thing. This already has y equals by itself. So I'm going to plug that into my y. So I'm going to have 3x minus 11, that's what y is equal to, minus 3x is equal to negative 13. And I'm going to combine my like terms here. So 3x minus 3x would just give me 0, so they cancel out. And now I have negative 11 is equal to negative 13. Well, this is not true. No solution. So actually, that means that my answer would be no solution. Not true statement would give you no solution. True statement is going to give you infinite. Make sure you fill out the Google form and submit your answers. Have a great day.